Welcome to the Greater Pensacola Chamber Toddcast, sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group. On the Toddcast, Chamber President Todd Thompson talks to the leaders that are making a difference and driving the conversations that will impact our community. Now here's the Chamber President, Todd Thompson.
Welcome back to the Greater Pensacola Toddcast. I'm Todd Thompson, President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. The Toddcast is sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group. If you're looking to do some real estate deals and the market is hot right now, make sure you talk to C. Moorhead and his team. They can help you through any type of real estate transaction you're working on, and we really appreciate their support of the Toddcast. So today we have Norris Ayvazian with us with Peaden Heating, Cooling, all the above.
Yeah, Peaden Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric.
Okay. Air conditioning, plumbing, and electric.
Yep.
But welcome to the Toddcast.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, tell us what you do with Peaden and how you kind of got involved.
All right. I am the general manager for the Pensacola branch of Peaden. Peaden has been in business for 51 years, serving the Florida Peninsula. We have locations in Panama City, Fort Walton, and of course here in Pensacola.
Mm-hmm.
My day-to-day involves running the entire branch, making sure that all three trades are running smoothly. I have responsibility over the financials, operations, driving revenue, and of course, most importantly, in my opinion, customer experience.
Right. So you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
No, I'm thankful because you got me to step away from the office and relax a little bit and have a conversation.
Yeah, sometimes you need that break,
Yes.
just to kind of change the scenery, do something a little bit different. So I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. So,
absolutely.
So I mean, we see the Peaden trucks all over the place, as you mentioned, throughout Northwest Florida. But kind of tell us a little more about the services y'all provide.
Sure. We consider ourselves a full residential service company, and we focus on the three main trades, which is air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical. And obviously in Florida, you need a lot of air conditioning.
Right.
Yeah.
'Tis the season.
Yep. And it could be something as simple as changing out a plug in your wall to doing multiple air conditioning system redesigns, redoing the ductwork to get your airflow right. And then plumbing has some major areas of operation as well. Something as simple as changing out a faucet,
right,
or changing out your sewer line. That's an old terracotta or cast iron pipe, and making sure everything's flowing downhill.
Right. So obviously we've been about a little more than a year of COVID, and people were doing a lot of home improvement projects over the past year. Did that impact your business?
Yes, it was actually a good year for business.
Mm-hmm.
What with the quarantine at home, I believe it ended up in having increased wear and tear in customers' homes because they'd spend more time at home.
Yeah.
Run the air conditioning more, use the plumbing more load on the electrical service panel, more TV, computers. So it increased call volume.
Right. So now you mentioned that increased call volume. One of the issues that we are facing, and this is in all industries, but it's a worker shortage.
Yeah.
I know. I think you and I have had that conversation, but mention that to our listeners about finding workers and keeping workers. So what the challenges you have there?
Yeah, you nailed it. This can be a sore subject for a lot of people. For me, it's been a challenge, to say the least. There's a glaring shortage of workers nationally, right, and in the industry, but especially for residential service, because there's a talent gap, and it's not singular, it's plural.
Right.
There's a generational talent gap. And so for every journeyman that retires right now in the country, we need to replace them with 4 apprentices to meet the demand of the labor force that we need to field in order to provide these services to customers, not just locally here in Pensacola, but around the country.
Right.
And what's interesting is, we use ZipRecruiter, Indeed, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is to get these opportunities in front of individuals. But there was still not a lot of people coming through the door.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, we have a great HR department. And what we ended up doing is partnering with Laughlin. And we took advantage of their apprenticeship program. And it inspired us to kind of pursue that and develop our own talent from the ground up. So we have these 18 to 22-year-old kids that are already committed to a curriculum at a technical college to pursue a trade and a career. And they work for us, and we develop them with on-the-job training. And it's turned into a great retention rate.
Okay.
They've turned into great performers. And we are also looking at doing a in-house training kind of university where we'll have an accelerated program for 5 to 8 weeks, depending on the trade that needs to be learned or the processes that need to be understood. And we go from somebody that has no industry experience whatsoever to a technician that we can trust in a customer's home to do the job and get it done correctly.
Right. So that's great, because to be able to manage that, and you're not just out there looking, you're building them up from the ground.
Yes.
And and I understand, trying to keep them in, the family, because you also hear people that, they hire somebody, they train them, they work for a little bit, and then they go somewhere else.
Yeah, and as any business leader or owner, when you hire somebody, that has cost associated to it, especially if there's turnover. Then the cost doubles or triples.
Right.
So you want retention, you want tenure, and you want somebody that, if you're hiring a helper, for example, but you see this magical spark in them, and 5 to 10 years later they can be a manager in your business.
Right.
You just scored big time. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for individuals with attitude and aptitude. We can teach them what they need to know.
Right.
But as the old saying goes, you can't coach want to. That's what we're looking for.
Right.
And then the rest will come easy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to have that inner drive, that motivation to be, the best and do the best that you can. And like you say, you can't teach it. You can demonstrate it, and sometimes that helps. But you really got to develop it on your own.
You're not going to find a unicorn around every corner.
Right. Exactly.
So if you have a strong enough process that's built in-house to produce the talent that you want, then you will be rewarding yourself in the long run.
Exactly. So you were our PACE Award Business Leader of the Year this year.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, I did not know you before you were nominated, and I did not know anything about you at all. But I get to see who the winners are in advance and read through their applications and everything. And I just was like, wow, I can't wait to meet this guy. I mean, this is
awesome.
It seems like just somebody who really gets it and wants to be a leader in our community. But your journey at Peaden has been an interesting one. Talk about starting at Peaden and how that came about and your journey now to where you are.
Sure. So I've been with Peaden for a year, just about. And I've been in the residential services industry for a little over 10 years now. I was a military contractor for the longest time before that. And with government jobs, you face a lot of budget cuts.
Right.
So there were layoffs or contracts ending, and I constantly had to be in the hunt for the next contract, to be on the next task force or company that got awarded a scope of work that translated into my skill set, where they would need to subcontract me out. I got tired of that, and I was looking for something to get into, an industry and career change that would translate into long-term job security. I was hanging out with a relative of mine, and he said, "Have you ever thought about heating and cooling?" He's like, "That's always going to be in demand."
Right.
And I never put much thought into that before that. And then I interviewed with a company, went great. And that's where my journey in residential services started. I was fortunate enough to join a great company in the Mid-Atlantic in Virginia. And I fell in love with the process. No 2 days are alike. And customers always call you with a genuine need.
Right.
But in this day and age, when you Google something, you're going to get so many results, you get overwhelmed. And so people are always paralyzed about, did I make the right choice? Did I call the right company? Are they going to give me the right solution? Is it going to be the right price? What kind of person are they sending to my home? And so that intrigued me. And eventually I became obsessed with it. I fell in love with taking care of customers' needs, but to a standard of excellence so high that to set the bar so high that no other company could reach that standard that I set. And it formed my model of doing business or approaching customers, which is set the bar so high that you create doubt in everybody else and you become the obvious choice to do business with.
Yeah.
And so the next time they need something, they're not Googling, they're not opening the phone book, they're not asking friends or family, but they will tell friends and family that Peaden is the company to call. Norris, Todd is the guy to talk to. So that's eventually how I got to this position. I was in North Carolina at the time, and the opportunity came my way. And I spoke to the owners. I spoke to the vice president of operations, and immediately, during the first few minutes of the conversations that I had with them, I could tell that we saw eye to eye, we spoke the same language, and we shared the same philosophy. And there was a need for some change in the Pensacola branch, and I felt like I was up for the challenge, like it was tailor-made for me.
Yeah.
And I embraced it. The support has been great. The community feedback has been great, and the team took me in with open arms, and we've had nothing but success so far.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I just love talking to people who, value and strive for excellence. And, like you said, making it so clear that a customer is just, they're going to pick you because you bring that excellence and you go, you make sure that it's instilled every day.
It is. And, and it's not just a target in the sky. If you really think about it, it's every little thing that you do. And it all starts with mindset as well. So, and we can talk about that for hours.
Yeah, right.
It's something that I'm passionate about. And if I can make that passion infectious for my team and they pick up on it, then great results will follow.
Right. So also wanted to talk about your speech at the PACE Awards.
Okay.
Because you talked about integrity and you talked about customer service, and sometimes in business these are buzzwords that people like to throw out, but
yes.
It's obvious these are things that you're passionate about and that you live every day.
You have to. Customers sign the paycheck, obviously, and in a setting where your services are provided in the form of an individual going to somebody else's home, then customer service is at a whole different level, right? It's not just about ringing somebody up at the register, walking around the counter, personally handing them the bag. It's much more above and beyond. And not to discount any other business,
right?
But you're in somebody's home,
right?
That's their sanctuary. That's the place where they're comfortable, where they raise their children and make decisions and go throughout life. And so customer service for me it starts with gratitude. And it's not just like great gratitudes, right? Like, oh, I have a lot of money in the bank, or oh, I got to go on vacation. Not those kind of gratitudes. Oh, I'm driving a great car. No, simple gratitudes. Mm-hmm. And you have to constantly be hungry 4 simple gratitudes. Like every morning when I wake up, before I leave, after I'm fully dressed, I make sure I hug and kiss my wife.
Right.
Right? Something like that. That is something so powerful to have and so fortunate as well. And getting into the mindset of, instead of saying I have to do something, I get to do something, right? I get to go to this customer's house instead of I have to go to this customer's house. I get to solve their problems instead of I have to solve their problems. One of my favorite sayings that I share with my technicians and my field staff is, if you're genuinely grateful about one small thing, it's impossible to be upset about many a great thing. And if they hold on to that and really try to understand it and you help them understand it, then you're going to have an individual that's going to be a joy to have in front of a customer.
Right.
So I can't speak enough about gratitude, and I've actually been following Mr. Studer's posts on LinkedIn, and the whole gratitude symposium that he's doing, and he's nailing it. Just think about this though. If you're truly grateful, do you think somebody in front of you that you met for the first time is going to pick up on that energy?
Right.
And once they do, don't you think they're going to be more receptive to whatever conversation that you're going to have? And the trust is going to be more natural from them to you as well. But that is something precious to have, right? Once you establish that trust and you make that connection. And that's where integrity comes in, where through your actions, every little thing that you do, not just in front of them. So in our world, we have technicians drive to customers' homes, park in front of the home, walk up to the door, make sure they have their masks on, right? We have shoe covers, and we put a rug in front of their door as well, and we knock on the door. And so it's every little thing. A customer knows, like let's say we're going to send an electrician to your house one of these days. And when he does show up, you know what time he's going to be at your home.
Right.
You're going to be peeking out the window. And so the way that the technician pulls up to your home, gets out of the vehicle, whether or not the dashboard is clear, right? You don't want to see clutter. The way they walk up to your home, how quickly they get out of the vehicle, how they present themselves and set expectations. So integrity through actions is something that I preach on and on and on about. So when we deliver a service, the customer is always going to feel at ease and have peace knowing that the individual in front of them has their best interest at heart because these tiny little details have been paid attention to.
Right. Yeah, and it's those unspoken things that send sometimes the strongest message.
Yes.
Like you say, being organized, that respect that you show when you come to the door.
Well-groomed, shirt tucked in.
Right.
All of it.
Right. Yeah. So, man, that's just such great stuff. And yes, I do need a little electrical work done, so we'll talk about that after we wrap up here. But all right, so I mean, this is something you obviously think about a lot, and you say you came to this career sort of in middle of your life. I mean, more this wasn't how you started, but this is where you are now. So talk about that a little bit. If you're someone who's you're going through life and you're thinking about starting something new, doing something new, what kind of steps would you recommend that person take?
So somebody that wants to start a business or a venture.
Yeah.
You need to have more confidence in your vision than anybody else.
Right.
Because especially when you first start, it is going to be only you. And there's going to be moments when you start having doubts. Why did I do this? Because it's a struggle getting air underneath your wings and taking off on that first flight, right? And when those doubts come and you have a team around you, or it's just one or two people, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You need to be that person that knows what the end result is and what needs to be done on a daily basis. So you have to measure the accomplishments that you want, right? So if I want to maximize my efficiencies so I can achieve a goal, I'm going to look at how I spend my time on a daily basis. Maybe I'll keep a log and I'll see how I'm using my time before I even utter the words that I don't have time.
Right.
Busy is the enemy of efficiency, right? So I'm going to look into that, and then if I find a pattern, I love finding patterns.
Right.
So if I find a pattern that I can adjust, I just cleared up 30 minutes to 2 hours out of my day. What can I do to maximize my product or the goals that I want to accomplish with those extra minutes or hours that I was able to carve out of my day? And treat your customer like they're the most important thing in the world. And if those two things, having a clear understanding of where you want to go and how you're going to get there, right? Don't put a target in the sky.
Right.
You're going to get lost, and you're going to feel lost the entire time. But have that target, and then if you're not going to have a clear pathway to that target, instead of keeping your eyes on it, keep your eyes on the line to that target.
Mm-hmm.
There was a great story that I heard from a business coach. He got into dirt bike racing a long time ago, and he never finished in the top 5 or top 10, whatever it is.
All right.
And then his dad would tell him, what are you trying to do? And when he was a kid, he said, well, I'm trying to win. I'm trying to get into first place or second place, whatever. I just want to finish in the top. And he's like, and his dad tells him, well, you're not following the line. I was like, what do you mean? You're not picking your line and sticking to it. You're trying to carve out your own path, and you're getting bogged down by these piles of dirt that have not been ridden over yet.
Mm.
Why don't you pick a line of the guy that was in front of you instead of carving out your own, and drive that line better than him? And once you become better than him, then focus on creating your own line.
All right.
So the lesson that I took away from that is, if I'm trying to do something, I'm going to set my pride aside, right? The world is a copycat league.
Yes.
It really is.
Right.
And in my opinion, imitation is one of the greatest forms of flattery.
Right.
I'm not saying lie, cheat, and steal.
Right. No.
Yeah. But if somebody's doing something that I want to do, I'm going to pay my respects and dissect their process and make it my own.
Right.
So have your target in the sky. Find a line that you want to execute perfectly before you create your own. And treat your customer like they're the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. No, that's great stuff, man. We could talk about this all day.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about it.
Really great, man. Love it. Well, that's really all the questions I had, but is there anything else you want to share with our listeners as we kind of wrap up?
I don't know, I'm still stuck on the whole gratitude thing, right? And so helping employees understand gratitude is something that I try to accomplish in small bites or large swaths on a daily basis, among other things. Let's say I set a financial target on a revenue generator. If you had a financial target and you said you have to accomplish $100,000 in sales this month, what's your sales guy going to do? He's going to swing for the fences every customer that he goes to. How's that customer going to feel?
Yeah.
What's the conversation going to be like between your sales guy and the customer? Is the customer going to leave a pleasant review? Probably not. Are they going to call you back for a follow-up visit or to have you quote them on something else? Probably not, right? And then if you break it down into bite-sized targets and you look at your metrics and you identify your KPIs, like what you really want to focus on, indirectly, and then you coach your salesperson on this, what you're indirectly doing is creating a more organic experience for the customer. Because now, instead of saying, I want you to do 100,000 this month, you're going to say, I want you to do 2,000 today. And you're going to see 2 customers. So sell them goods for $1,000. So, okay. So what does the conversation turn into now? It's going to be a conversation where your sales guy is going to identify the customer's needs. So the conversation is more from a helpful standpoint instead of trying to just get money out of the customer. Right. We want revenue, the result of the revenue we want the revenue that we generate to be a result of a great experience. That's what we want.
Right.
And that's what makes customers give us more reviews, more word of mouth referrals, and they feel that they can trust us. And that's essentially what we do on a daily basis. A customer calls us for a repair on an AC. The AC is not working properly. Our mode of operation is to always go for the immediate repair. That's what you called us out for.
Right.
We're not going to try to sell you on stuff that you don't need. But if something breaks, there's a reason why it broke.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you put your educator hat on after you address the initial need and you explain to the customer why your system broke down in the first place. And here's what you can do to avoid that in the future. But we're not going to do anything without your explicit approval.
Right.
And I believe that's going to help us grow in such a way where we grow with integrity.
Right. Wow. And just love all of it. It's such great stuff. Norris, man, just really appreciate the time and the insights. And, like I said, we didn't know each other a few months ago, but it's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit and look forward to,
Same here.
furthering the relationship. And like I said, we'll be talking about a little service, Peaden here as we wrap up. But again, Norris Ayvazian, thank you for the time. Appreciate you coming in and being on the Toddcast.
Thanks for having me, Todd, and thanks to Pensacola for having me and the warm welcome. It's a wonderful place, wonderful people, and I look forward to the future.
Absolutely. And thanks again to our sponsor, Moorhead Real Estate Law Group, and we'll catch you again next time on the Toddcast.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Toddcast. To learn more, check out the Greater Pensacola Chamber's Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at ToddcastPCola. That's Toddcast, letter P, colon. We hope you join us again next time on the Toddcast.